Welcome to Pagan Coffee Talk. If you enjoy our content, please consider donating and following our socials.
Okay, so
Let's talk about this wonderful little phrase.
yeah, so let's talk about black magic.
Okay.
All right. Now this
Versus white magic.
Yeah. Now we're not getting into a discussion about necessarily, I don't know, the details of it. We're going to talk about the name.
The action. Yeah.
Yeah. So, traditionally speaking, black magic and white magic are terms connected to the light. Right? The light and the dark.
Right. It is more of a moral stance than...
Well, sure.
To some extent.
Well, yeah. But if we consider the fact that craft is a religion of the light. Right? We have the dark half of the year. We have the light half of the year. And so somewhere along the way, right, there was an association made about the two dynamics or potential halves of magic. It's the coin concept again.
Right. Where you have the light, which is life and growth, and where you have the darkness, which is death, destruction, decay.
Exactly. Now, it has been brought to my attention, Lord Knight, that...
Brought to your attention?
Yeah. That some of our younger witches... I'm going to call... Well, I'm not going to... I would normally say witchlings, but they're not necessarily that. When I say younger, I just mean, let's say, people under the age of 30.
Right.
There's a belief that white magic and black magic correlates to the idea that white good, black bad, and that this has a crossover connotation with race and skin color.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me state my problem. High magic, low magic. We're talking again. We're still sort of talking about the same concepts here,
and that's just it. So the shall we say misunderstanding, or the current belief is that, especially when we look at, racial tensions in this country and things that we know are not good and that suck, and how definitely people with darker skin have been oppressed, have been treated badly. I mean, we're not denying any of that.
No.
But the idea that black magic became a codification for
the downgrading of
the practices of darker skinned magic practitioners. So we're talking about black people, Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean cultures, voodoo, voodoo,
right?
Any of that,
but,
right?
But even then, there is white magic in these practices. They do healings like crazy,
for sure, and
they even have their own, and they'll even call it black magic themselves.
Absolutely, because they have an understanding of
what we're talking about here.
It's simply that, we are so embroiled in racial tensions in this country that I can understand. I really can. I can understand where younger people are like, oh, get out of town. Even magic did it, right? Even craft did it, where we vilified black or dark.
Well, again, let's look at witchcraft history as we know, modern day witchcraft history. So if we go back to World War II, what was the biggest debate between most of the occultists back then was even if black people had souls. And all this, there was. I mean, look, there is so much to this. I mean, come on. There was a time in this country where the scientific belief was that black people couldn't feel pain. So again, this is all completely nonsense. Makes no sense whatsoever.
The problem is people are trying to overlap two things that don't necessarily overlap. On one hand, yes, you have the treatment of a people, and you have the treatment or the stereotyping based on skin color. And on the other hand, you have a religious magical system. So put the skin color component aside, white magic and dark magic, what is it? So you said it yourself, high magic, low magic, right? So high magic being ceremonial, being very precise, being very, mathematical,
very correlated.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's 50,000 variables to do one.
Oh my God, so many steps. And then low magic, which, like even we would say low magic is dirty magic. It's more symbolism based. It's a little more loosey-goosey.
It's a little bit more rough around the edges. And it's not flowery. It's not.
No. And then you also have, right, like you said, even within high and low magic, intent. So a baneful spell becomes black magic.
Right.
And then a healing spell is white magic.
Right.
So that's how the old asses like us, right? Have defined this.
At no point did any of us ever sit there and to associate black magic with skin color.
Never even crossed my pea-brain mind, right?
Whatsoever.
Now,
and you're sitting back going, okay, you're overreaching there a little bit.
Now, here's the other thing. I can definitely understand how people could look at, especially most of witchcraft, Wicca, and go, it largely comes from Europe. Right. It comes from a lot of white dominant cultures, the Celts, the Norse. Okay. The Greeks, the Romans. Okay. I mean, look.
But we could say the same thing about voodoo and hoodoo.
You could say just about anything. I mean, the idea that there isn't, I always get a giggle, right? This is always my own personal little thing, right? So it has long been believed that the three wise men who came to see Jesus are known as what now? Mages. The three magi, right? They were brown, right? Like we don't dispute this, they were Middle Eastern in origin. I mean, come on. Even many people will tell you to call Greeks or Romans or a lot of the Mediterranean, area, to call them white is somewhat debatable depending on the time and history. So,
we're not even talking about the history of Sicily, Italy,
forget
and how in the world.
Forget it. I am a mutt. I mean, but like I said, this is very much a phenomenon of the younger generation. I don't think, I think back to the 90s, and I think back to my early introductions to craft, and I go, did I ever make that association? Not once.
Well, again, I see this. I see them making the same association when we're talking about orcs and all these other mythological creatures.
Yes, and that's a big thing. Where again, we have an overlap. Like my daughter was educating me one day on the fact that in a lot of your RPG and role player
they're now
fantasy,
trying to say that
it's been going on for a long time.
That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
But I think that's just it. The younger generation doesn't believe that. They're like, orcs have been portrayed as sort of like this savage black race, or this idea. It's the same way. So
well again, the whole concept of an orc, to start off with, is still the same concept as a werewolf or something. It is that man beast where you can no longer overcome your basic animal instincts.
Absolutely, but you're thinking too mythologically. When we bring in the modern application, when they're hiring black actors and black voice actors to portray the orc race, they've suddenly codified it.
I'm sorry. I've seen too many voice actors and actresses who play parts that have nothing to do with what in the world they really are.
Of course, but again,
come on. Go to was voiced by.
But we're talking about, again, the big picture, the generalization here. Look, keep this in mind too. There has been, so Disney for the longest time, right? There's the codification of Disney villains as gay.
Yes.
Right? Flamboyant.
The whole 9 yards.
Right.
And it's that. And again, it's been, it was gay coded through the whole entire thing. But again, when I look at myths and I look at legend, gay code just suddenly falls off to the side.
Right. But the idea is these are the influences that this new generation of craft has grown up with. These are the ideas that have been instilled in them, right? This concept that like, oh, okay, so for a really long time, mainstream media was vilifying gay men, right, in this way.
But I'm also going to sit here as a gay man and looking at all of this stuff going, you know what? People are being just a little more than fucking oversensitive about this crap. All right. I mean, and again,
I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm
not
because
saying
again,
you're wrong.
Being called a fag here is supposed to be a bad thing, but if I go over to England, I'm going to hear everybody say it.
I know.
Because they're talking about a cigarette.
Well, maybe not anymore. I mean, I think it's kind of morphed a bit, but you're right. Look, we live in a very sensitive society, but we have to really look at origin point to determine some of these ideas that they can look, it can create trouble later. The idea is it's one thing for a next generation witch right now to maybe have the idea, right, that black magic was associated with, again, black people, black folk, and that it was a way to kind of, again, further vilify them. But it's another thing when this generation starts writing books on craft, and maybe they decide to publish that as a statement. And the next thing you know, a couple of generations down the line, this is a belief.
But again, this is where but again, this is where people like me and you need to stand up and go, this is not accurate. This is not what we're talking about.
I know. Now, on the other hand, I can say, look, I have been to New Orleans plenty of times and been around voodoo magic plenty of times, and I can tell you, people get scared.
Yes.
There is a certain, even if I think people aren't totally aware of it, there is a certain reverence for some of the voodoo practices. And, well, I mean, I don't know what that is. I don't know. I'd like to think it's respect, but knowing the general populace, it's not.
Well, again, there's a difference between me and you going to a voodoo practice and a general populace.
For sure.
All right. For sure. There's a way we're going to look at it and perceive this that they are not.
Yeah. And some of that fear, I think, can again morph into the wrong idea. So it's a little bit of awareness. It's a little bit of practicality. It's also a little bit of following the trail. I mean, if we look at things historically, I mean, and again, any Aboriginal culture, any early man to inhabit an area, they were darker in skin. They were, and
again, the biggest fear, for ancient men, and the reason why in the world all these ancient characters are this way is the whole entire overcoming your beast nature of man. I mean, I hate to say it, when you come from a violent world, all right, where you not only your neighbors, but everybody in your is dominating you. Yeah,
but also we can't discredit the fact that many civilizations that invaded or inhabited Aboriginal lands saw the original inhabitants as what? Savages. They saw them as less than. They thought we're the civilized ones, and you're
again,
whatever you are.
Fine. Here's that argument with that. Is that not how in the world the Celts wound up being called Celts by the Romans?
More or less.
Because we were uncivilized.
More or less, yeah. I mean,
we were the barbarians at the time.
Right, and so were the Vikings. But if you run it up the flagpole, the origin of a lot of Celtic magic, right, we know comes from the Picts. And the Picts were a darker race. We don't know everything about them because they've been gone for a really long time. But we do know that, like most Aboriginal cultures, they were not white.
No. And they were absorbed into the actual...
Yes. Over time and intermingling and whatever, invading, all of it.
Right.
But I do think this is an important distinction, because I think if people are... But if you're miscoding your magic, let's put it that way.
Right.
If you're misclassifying or miscoding your magic, how is that affecting the magic itself?
I agree with you.
Yeah, that could be potentially...
I mean, I'm
problematic.
Sorry, if you were sitting there and you're having to do a black spell and this is going on in the back of your head, how bad is it going to mess it up?
I mean, it's not going to be pretty. I also think that we then have to... This is where the discussion comes about magic has to transcend this. Mm-hmm. It's beyond this. It's beyond race. It's beyond all of these human concepts. I mean, an elemental does... Find me an elemental that recognizes race. What?
Well,
right.
Well, again, it's like our concept of souls. Our concept of souls is that the souls don't really have an actual form. They're just energy.
Right.
So they don't even have genders or bodies or anything of this world.
Right. So once again, I mean, look, this is what humans do. We classify, we put everything in a little box, we give it a label. You know, it all has to fit neatly. Nature doesn't work that way.
We do. Nature doesn't.
Yeah.
We just sort of try to make it sort of fit there.
But when we start to embrace a little bit more of that chaos.
But I also hate to say this, but this is also why in the world we have such a big freaking fit over mushrooms. When things don't fit, it actually grabs our attention a little bit more.
Of course. But I think that, you know, again, it's just understanding that not all human concept. I mean, again, it's the ego at work, right? In my opinion, it's the ego of man to go, everything is based on my experience. Everything is based on my perspective.
Well, I mean, again, we've said it. I've said it before, and I hope you agree with me. When I was younger, if I go out and I look for homophobia, I find it.
Of course.
If I go out looking for racism, I'll find it.
Of course.
Because I want it to be there. There's
no doubt about that. And that's something that, again, we're kind of giving people a bit of food for thought here, I hope. This discussion isn't about right or wrong. It's not about, it's certainly not about race at the end of the day. It's about how our ideas influence things that are greater than us.
Right. Yeah. And how we discuss them and how other people pick up on them ideas.
For sure. That's deep. I need more coffee.
I do too.
Thanks for listening. Join us next week for another episode. Pagan Coffee Talk is brought to you by Life Temple and Seminary. Please visit us at lifetempleseminary.org for more information, as well as links to our social media: Facebook, Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit.
We travel down this trodden path, a maze of stone and mire. Just hold my hand as we pass by a sea of blazing pyres. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning breaks. And so it is the end of our days, so walk with me till morning